Hello, this is Mark with American Dissenter. The topic for today is transgenderism. It's a continuation of a past video um, that is necessary via the Obama administration's redefining of the Civil Rights Act as it pertains to transgenders utilizing public school bathrooms. I wrote an article about this small little piece on my Facebook page, Relative News Source. I ask that you please visit that and check out some of my other articles. And please leave some comments and we'll have some good, honest debates. There's a couple issues with this for me. They're using the Civil Rights Act and they're using a portion of it called the Title IX, which is an amendment that was done in 1972. I'll go ahead and read that so you'll understand where I'm coming from. So this is the actual wording of that amendment, or a section of that amendment, and the title of it is Comparable Facilities. And again, they're using this as their legal basis for forcing states to adhere to their new interpretation of this act or law. And obviously the ramifications for this are those schools that don't choose to follow these new interpretations will lose federal funding, which includes, from top down, building maintenance, lunch programs, transportation, so on, so on. So, schools depend on that. They have state funding, they have federal funding. Federal funding is critical. It's very important, and they rely on it heavily. So, this is how that section of the amendment, which again is titled Comparable Facilities. So, it states a recipient, which I might add, a recipient meaning the schools are a recipient of the federal funding. So it states a recipient may provide separate toilet, locker room, and or shower facilities on the basis of sex, but such facilities provided for students of one sex shall be comparable to such facilities provided for students of the other sex. Period. Note, they determined that there's only two sexes. And there's no mention of gender anywhere in there, is there? Matter of fact, in the entire Civil Rights Act, there's no mention of gender. There's much wording on discrimination against those based on, religion, sex, race, creed. But again, nothing pertaining to gender. Why is this important that wording is not there? Well, I'm going to read my little article and I'll elaborate on that more so we can bring things full circle. Again, this is on my Facebook page, Relative News Source. The article goes like this. There are several issues with our federal government redefining a section of the Civil Rights Act. They cite Title IX as the legal basis for forcing all public schools to not discriminate against students from using bathrooms and locker rooms, even though they are opposite their sex. The first major problem for our government is that they contradict themselves in their letter. They clearly say gender is a perception and sex is biological. They then add some wording to the Title IX that states schools cannot discriminate against those individuals who identify as a sex that is opposite of what is on their birth certificate. There's one problem with that wording. There's nothing in the Title IX that correlates discrimination with someone's gender, as I mentioned. As a matter of fact, there's nothing in the Civil Rights Act and any of its amendments that speaks of gender. The Obama administration clearly is trying to create a new class of persons by implying there's nothing different between someone's gender and sex. This is factually and medically wrong. The federal government is threatening states to adhere to this new interpretation of Title IX, or they will deny them millions, and in some cases billions, of taxpayer funding. This is a bully tactic that is un-American and based on a misconception of existing law. In closing, another issue is that the executive branch cannot alter or redefine existing law. Civics 101. Only the legislative branch, i.e. Congress, can do this. What does this mean? The administration's actions to bully our states into adhering to their new interpretation of Title IX is illegal and it's unconstitutional, obviously. I predict there will be many states that will sue to stop this illegal action. And I reiterated to stay tuned that this will get real ugly real quick. And I don't mean in violence. It's just legally, it's gonna escalate really quickly. So, what are some pretty important things I've said there? One is that they contradicted themselves. When you go to the link that I provided in that article, at the end of the article, you will see that that section of the amendment clearly states that you can't have a bathroom that like a men's bathroom can't be bigger than the woman's bathroom, or the woman's bathroom can't be prettier, with more features than the men's. That's what they mean by comparable. No brainer, right? Well, I also thought that not allowing a man that mentally that day feels that he's a woman can walk into a little girl's bathroom. But the times have changed. And according to the Obama administration, if you don't allow someone to do that, that's discrimination. And they will deny your state much needed funding, which would most certainly cause chaos, economical chaos for states. I mean, that's a no-brainer. This bully tactic is, again, as I've said, is unconstitutional. They are misconstruing law. They are altering law. This is illegal. So, again, what is the key issue to all of this? I don't trust men, and evidently the government trusts men way more than I do. Men are humanly flawed, and I think a majority of America would agree with me on that. Especially this, pornographied world we live in now, where sex and the selling of sex is prevalent in advertising and music and all over the TV and internet. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue with that either. Women generally blow that off and can control their sexual desires. Men cannot. This opens up a Pandora's box that scares the crap out of me, to say the least. I have 2 young children. And the fact that, a man can feel like a woman that day and walk into the bathroom while a little girl is changing for gym class or taking a shower after her, her lacrosse practice, and how anybody supportive of this administration can agree with that, it is mind-boggling to me. It's very disturbing that this has even happened, that this is even being considered. And so that's obviously a problem. I don't trust men. I don't trust men, to say the least. So, and the fact that they are mixing gender and sex. Again, gender is a perception. It's a mental perception. It's an opinion. It's how you feel. It's how you think you look. It's how others think that you look. Does he look more feminine? Does he look more masculine? That's a gender-based statement or feeling. That's a reference to gender. Sex is what's between your legs. Period. You can't change your sex. Don't let anybody tell you that. So, this is not about the rights of transgenders. It's not about the rights of gay or that community. It's nothing to do with that, really. I don't care what people do in their bedroom. You want to wear high heel shoes and wear a skirt, I really don't give a crap. You want to have sex with another man, or a woman wants to have sex with another, I really don't care. But what happens in public bathrooms and public schools where kids are forced to go, you have to educate your kids. It's federal law. So you either homeschool them, send them to charter school, or send them to public school or private school. And a large majority of the public sends their kids to public schools, and they entrust them to protect them. Now they're being told that men, confused men, I might add, and I can get into the confusion and the mental state of a person that is transgender, because there's nothing medically out there that states that people are born that way. Try and find it. It's not out there. So it's a mental perception. People think that they are something that they're not. So now these parents are sending their kids to school, and I mentioned a janitor earlier, where the janitor can walk in on them, and there's not a damn thing the schools can do about it. Nothing. There's nothing they can do about it. And if they try to do something about it, that janitor could sue the living crap out of them. And when he sues the living crap out of them, that school can lose its funding from the federal government. See how things roll downhill? That's what the Obama administration's saying right now. You better let that male janitor that might not even look like a freaking girl, you better let him go into that locker room and change clothes with those girls. You better. If you don't, we're going to allow him to sue you, and when he sues you, we're going to sue you, and we're going to stop federal funding, and we're going to collapse your state's economy. Period. Doesn't make any sense. I expect massive lawsuits, and I ask you to please write or call your local and state representatives and view your opinion about this. I hope you agree with me. If not, I'd really like to have a debate with you, an honest and adult debate. Go to Relative News Source on my Facebook page, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. I appreciate you listening. Again, this is Mark with the American Dissenter. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.